For tonight, we are going to be working on making some weird critters. And it's my plan tonight to integrate some words. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to write them in now or write them in later. I'm just going to let it happen. But what I would definitely like everyone to think about are different shapes. And I just did this very quickly, obviously. I made like a square, squared with a round bottom for this little weirdo. I kind of made like a backwards L-shaped thing for this weirdo. This guy was a circle. So just to experiment with different shapes a little bit. And then as I showed you, I think on the back, this one is like playing around with a profile and it looks very dystopian with its sort of cat-like body. So don't be afraid to experiment with different shapes. You can see I have some asymmetrical eyes with teeny little eyeball pupils. I have some bigger eyes. I didn't even fill these in, but I was, just doodling around a little bit. And this one I ended up kind of making look like a weird little bat. And you can play with different teeth and all that kind of good stuff. So, so we will be playing with that a little bit tonight. And so don't get all in your head because there's no one that can tell you that this is not what a monster looks like because it absolutely is. And I'm going to start with my jelly pen tonight. And you know what else I'm also going to get? I'm also going to start with a stamp in a minute. So here I go. I'm going to make a U shape and something over the top. And he's gonna have, I'm just trying to stay really loose with this little leg, make another little, I don't know, I'm just thinking about like rhinoceros legs, how they're so stubby, or elephant legs, like they're so chunky. So I'm just gonna kind of play with that a little bit and maybe add some polka dots. You don't have to add details now, you can totally do that later. I'm just warming up, and people who know me know I love to warm up with polka dots. It just is kind of dots are kind of my relaxing thing. I did like that weird spiky hair that I kind of was playing around with. So I guess I'm going to give this one some weird spiky hair and not overthink it too much. I guess it's sort of looking like a plant right now. It's a lovely plant holder, right? It's a lovely plant holder at this moment. And maybe I'll have something weird coming out for ears, some kind of like strange things like that. I don't know. Who knows? I'm just playing. This is the stuff that I do when I'm doodling in front of the television. So this is just very relaxing for me. I just don't want you to overthink or feel like you have to copy this. Try and go your own way a little bit tonight. And I guess I'm gonna have my eyes be very big, like I did in the first one that I was just practicing with. And it's okay if I even overlap a little. And then I guess I'm gonna make another eyeball inside of it. And maybe something inside of that. And then I can put some big old pupils in there. It's also kind of cool to make more human looking eyes in a weird little body like this, so you can totally just juxtapose monster features with realistic, more realistic, recognizable human traits. It's just very fun. So this little guy's looking quirky little critter. And I'm noticing that for some reason, he's like floating. I didn't really mean to do that at all. So I'm going to have to like put him on something. So now my choice is like, oh, do I want to put it on like standing on the head of another weirdo? Like I could totally do that. Or I could create something in front of him. So I think I'm going to just make a little mound over here, like a little, like a mound of earth, maybe like just a little, he's on a mountain. I have to ground him on something because I really didn't mean to make him flying like that. And then I got to think about what I want to do for his mouth. He's very cute. I think I'm gonna give him some weirdo teeth. So I'm gonna just give him a little line here. And then I'm just gonna make some shapes. How did I do that before? I guess I'm just gonna make some weirdo shapes. They don't have to be particularly credible or readable as teeth, but they're gonna read his teeth they're just gonna read his teeth because they just will. So see, my little weirdo is already born here. So I like that little guy, he's cute. And then the question is, I think I want to integrate some other things. So maybe I'll have another little critter that's small over here, maybe, and maybe something that's like a long, skinny one over here, and then maybe integrate my words that I was thinking about. So I'm just kind of thinking about what I want to do here. I'm going to do the tall weirdo first. Let's see. Excuse me. I'm going to do my tall weirdo. I'm going to start with this tall weirdo's eyes. So I'm going to go with a big ol' eye here and a littler. So I'm just playing with shapes here. And I know that I'm going to want to have 3 elements. I'm not exactly sure what those 3 elements are quite yet, but I do know that there's going to be 3. It may be a flower. It may, that third element may be a house or something else, but I'm just really playing around with things here right now, which is super fun for me. Maybe we'll give him a little wiggly cone up there too. I always love to do line work. Give this guy some weirdo teeth up here. Pointy teeth are they read a little scary. So I don't know how that is gonna read, but give him a short little stubby body. And then I'm gonna give this guy long legs, because why not? And he doesn't even need any feet if you don't want. And then I'll probably put some little teeth down here. Some fun little characteristics here. And don't forget, you can always change your hand and use your non-dominant hand if you're getting stuck with an idea. You're not sure what to do. I always tell people, switch your hand, because it's just really hard to be hard on yourself when you're concentrating to hold the pencil in the other hand. I decided that I wanted to add a different element, and so I added like something that's just kind of representative of a little bit of like some houses or houses of worship. So I'm going to add those along the side here, and they're very non-representational. They're just, going to look like some kind of a house or something. Very, very sweet and whimsical. All right, that's cute. So there's that, and I do feel like I'm needing a little bit more. Maybe I need like maybe it needs antennae or like a crown. No, I'm just thinking, aloud. Polka dot, oh, dots. I haven't done my dots in a while. So this is something that has kind of fallen off my paintings not in a intention. I mean, it's always in there because I love to make dots. But
I decided to add some whimsical dots, and some people have actually called them seeds. In my earlier paintings, they were in every single painting, and I always include dots, but I don't always include these black little seeds anymore. But here they are today.
So I definitely am liking my two. I'm gonna need one more, I think. So it needs something, maybe just a little flower over here and a second flower. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of, this is sort of my signature move too. And I think a lot of artists have things like this. It's just, I just love to make a little flower. It's definitely a signature move of mine. And I do many different kinds of leaves. So it's really up to you. I'm gonna just go with a simple one tonight. Sometimes I make them a different way, but we'll get some stripes in there. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and it definitely needs a fifth. So something to tie this thing together. Maybe I'll do that little bat guy up here. Maybe that's the way to go. So I'll do a little one up here. I'm gonna do a little guy. And he had ears. And he had, how did I do that? I made a cute little eyeball over here. And he had another bigger eyeball over here. So I'm just playing. Give him a weird big nose, like the way kids always make noses, like piggy kind of. Get a big nostril in there. Yeah, he'll be flying around. And flying around over here. Yeah. So for me, this is very intuitive, but I have to feel like compositionally that there's movement happening here. So you can kind of see that your eye goes do 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 like in an arc. It's like in an arc. And that's really important for me. And I just know that compositionally, when I have that, it's like chef's kiss. I just know that that's going to work. It's right. It's going to sell. Like it's totally going to work here. And I think what I'll probably end up doing is putting the words in here. So at this moment, I am pretty happy with this little character, this little drawing, and I'm going to go get a stamp. And this is a stamp that I've used many, many times. It can be any stamp. This one kind of looks like it's supposed to be words, but it really isn't when you get close to it. So I'm gonna just pop it in a couple of select places. So one is gonna be up there. When I do it in one place, I generally like to kind of try to do it in another place. And I like to do it in like a triangle thing so that the eye will move with it. So maybe so I could either do something down here so the eye goes here, but I kind of want to bounce it up there. So I'm just going to give it a little bit right up there. And that is perfect for me. So it's just an extra thing for me to play around with and fill the space. And I think I also need a couple more little dots up in here a little bit, just to keep the eye moving. And you guys know, see, it's like I could pimp you like if it were med school. And what do I use? Odd number dots or even number dots? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one needs a 9th. I always use odd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. So that feels right to me. All right, super happy with that. All right, I am gonna get ready to paint this little jobby here. So I'm gonna grab my watercolor. And honestly, there's not gonna be any rules here, really. It's whatever you sort of want your piece to be. I'm gonna keep my piece sort of in the, I think tonight, I'm feeling like I wanna stick with my blues and purples tonight. And I'm gonna also use some of my paint as well in some of the spaces. So I'm gonna stick to my cooler palette tonight. Not for any good reason. I have absolutely no reason, no rhyme or reason for that. So to start, I think what I'm gonna do is grab my darkest purple and I'm gonna outline my little guy here, and I'm gonna just go all the way around, just like if I were using acrylic paint, I would make my outline, even though I already have my black outlines. Now I'm gonna take my darkest color and I'm just gonna go all the way around my character's features. So that's gonna be my first step. It's gonna take a bit, so just you can relax, and I'm gonna be quiet for a minute while I do this. You're all like, yeah, right, she will. And just to remind you, when I'm using the watercolors, I don't dip into those watercolors very often. I really let the brush kind of run out. If you need to change colors, I usually just run it over my paper over here. So I don't, you're not constantly dipping. We're really trying to create that gradient, which is what watercolors are so awesome about. We're not trying to create even color. We're trying to create a gradient of color. So I'm gonna let that be here. And I can already tell for sure I'm gonna be painting over those teeth, just because that'll be fun to do with a little extra white at the end. But yeah, look how cute. I think I'll go into the ear, into those weird little ear things a little bit. I don't really know what to call those, but I guess I'll outline them a little. I'm just, there's no rhyme or reason to this. Like I said, nobody can tell me what my monster is supposed to look like. So I'm just kind of enjoying. Well, he's cute for right now. I'm gonna let that dry for a bit. And then I got to think a little bit about what I want to do for my critters. So anytime I use a color in one place, I like to use it in two other places. That's kind of another thing. So I'm definitely going to use that same color purple in this flower, because that's an easy place to incorporate a color. I'm also going to put it in the leaves. Who said that leaves can't be purple in Monsterland? And then I also feel like when I do this, so I want the eye to bounce around, right? So we have purple here, I have purple in this monster. I could put purple down here. I could put purple up here. So I think I'm going to go with, maybe I'll go with this weird little guy. And give this weird little guy an outline in this purple as well, or at least the first pass. It's gonna all change, of course, but this is just the first pass, will be a little bit of that purple color. First pass. And we all know multiple passes on watercolors, what it's all about. Okay, so so you can see your eyes kind of moving right around here. And now I'm gonna go into my, I'm gonna grab my, do I want blue? I'm gonna go with my lighter color purple right now, my lighter color purple. And I'm gonna just layer that in a little bit. So I'm gonna drop some of this lighter color purple in here. And oops, and same thing, I'm just putting it in. Not worried too much about dipping so often, just letting the brush kind of run out. You can also leave some spaces between, like I can leave a little bit of white so it doesn't bleed. And then I can show you how that can work in a bit. So I'll do that in a couple of places, leave a little space rather than have it bleed. And I'm just gonna fill in this little guy right now. So there's a little bit of purple happening, but you should still see that first purple tone. We're not trying to like obliterate it. Just, you can either come up near it or right up onto it. I'm going to drop a little bit of that into my flower as well. I am going to now introduce some blue. So I'm going to grab this same purple color and I'm going to do the same outline, but this time, instead of using that light purple after I go around this die, I'm going to use blue. And you'll see the purple will unify the picture, but it'll be just different enough because I'm going to go with the blue. It's okay if you go over lines, like watercolors are so light. I can't say it enough. There's just no right or wrong. There's some places that I'm going to still leave white. So you can see I'm leaving some of that leg with those lines. I'm just going to maybe leave that. Maybe they'll be black and maybe I'll do something different. I don't know. So I'm going to just put a whole bunch of that darker purple here right now. Cute. And I think I got to outline into this mouth too to make those teeth pop. And if that's the inside of the mouth, I guess it's probably darker. So I may end up putting some black in there and watercolor too in a minute. Just letting things happen. And there's definitely going to be some green here and some green up there and some green over here. Okay, good. So while this is happening, I'm going to actually shift to some colored pencils because things are wet. If you're looking for a wet on wet look, you can totally keep going with your wet. I am going to use my colored pencils because things are very wet and I don't want everything to look wet. So I'm going to go into my flower here with one color of green. And I'm gonna, because these are my Prisma colors, I can use a second color green right over the top. It'll kind of blend nicely. I can even go into the leaves a little bit if I want to, right over that purple. And that is what I'm doing a little bit. I like that. Then I got to do the hair all up in here. So I'm going to put a little bit of this color pencil in here. Now, if I were you guys, I would turn this thing around. I would turn the picture around a little bit.
I'm using 3 different colors of pencil to fill in my character's hair. I'm starting with a darker color and then I'll be adding 2 different colors of greens. It doesn't really matter which color greens, just try to create a variety. And we're going to be painting over this too. So don't get all in your head about is it the right green.
I'm going to grab my my sort of chartreusey green here. And I'm going to just drop it in. And I'm actually going to go into my character's eye here and give a little bit of a shadow with that same purple, because I forgot to do that before. So green, and I'm going to need some green down here. So I'm going to do same kind of thing down here. I'm going to make some little squiggles and I'm actually just making some hash marks. You can do any kind of pattern that feels good to you. You can make little rectangles, little triangles, whatever you like. I'm just making something that vaguely grassy. And then I'm going to do it with a different color. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I did in the hair. I'm going to use my darkest color at the bottom. And I'm just going to let that color kind of flow. until it runs out. Then I'll grab my middle color. It doesn't look very different, does it? Oh, here we go. I think I dipped in the wrong well. There we go. Middle color. And it's okay, I'm leaving a little bit of white and everything. It's totally fine. And then I'm gonna grab that chartreusey color and just kind of drop it in. I'm definitely feeling like that needs to be, that mouth needs to be dark in there. So I'm gonna grab my darkest, I'm gonna actually make some dark blue and watercolors. If you don't have a set, you can make it by grabbing your dark purple and then the blue, and that will make like a navy. So I'm gonna do that and go right into this little guy's mouth. And what I'm doing here is I'm not trying to cover the whole entire mouth. I'm just in select areas, and I hope you can see this. I'm moving quickly and I'm kind of leaving a little bit of that purple shade. I'm not trying to completely cover it. So I'm not being that fastidious about it, but I'm putting it in there. That's kind of cute. I like that. And then I'm going to add a little bit of that color to select places in the leg and probably up in the head as well, because I just like that. So I'll kind of go around the eyes. So the purple is there, and it reads purple in some places, but then the blue kind of peeks through a little bit. So I'm going to grab this pinky color, and the pinky color I'm going to lay in right on top of this critter that I've got going, just in some select places. And this is a place where I could actually add some details if I wanted. I could add polka dots, but I'm just adding a third element. And again, I'm not trying to cover everything else that came before it. I'm just thinking about where maybe some highlights would go. So I'm gonna, the same way on one of my girls, I would put some eyeliner or eyeshadow. I'm gonna add some of that, this pinky color around my character's eyes. And maybe give a little cheeky color. This guy didn't have a nose, did he? Neither of them did. So I'll just introduce a little cheeky color. And I think I'm gonna pull some of this into this critter maybe. So a little bit onto this leg. That's a way of integrating some of the color, right? I got a little bit of that purple over here. And maybe I'll put a little bit of it into this horn situation, like a stripe. That does make me feel like I need that blue over there. So I'm gonna try that again and commit to it. A little bit purple, a little bit blue. And I gotta get some blue into this other little critter up here. So I'm going to just add a little bit of that to his wings as an extra color. But you can put it anywhere. I can plop it into his ears. You can, I mean, he's so little. Totally is fine. He's cute. Now I got to get something over here with these, and I'm feeling like it needs that blue. Like, I don't know if you can feel that, but it's like the blue just kind of stops here. Like it's like blue, blue, blue. And I need some blue to come down here. So I'm going to make one of these buildings blue. I guess I'll integrate a little bit of that blue into each one of the, so this one will be the bottom building, the body of the building will be this dark blue. And in this one, it'll be this window. And maybe this one, it'll be this door. This is my blue indigo, just because I want to accent this guy's eyes a little bit. No great reason. It just needs a little accenting there. And when things are dry, which mine is not, but when things dry, you can actually grab your colored pencils and you can go add some shading. So I'm doing that right now with a Prisma. It's not really dry enough to be doing this, but so you can see it will add depth, and it'll make the eyes look a little bit like they're receding or pop, can you either make them pop or recede depending on what you want to do with them. So I'll go back and add some of that, and I'll do that over here. I'm going to probably add polka dots to this character, but this guy needs to dry a little bit. I'm also going to grab a couple of other little shades of blue, I think, to pull over here. So, or the other colors, sorry, I meant. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the purple and put it down here. And a little bit of the purple over here. And then maybe I'll put the purple with a little bit of pink in it over here. Cute. So green. I don't know that that's enough green. Might need another little gesture of green because this is floating as well. So I'm going to add a little bit of a green section over here. Just feels like things are floating still over here. So I'm going to add a little bit of green just the way I did before.
At this point in the process, I decided to rip up some paper that I had just because it was some messed up paper. So I integrated that into the grass just to give it a little texture. You don't have to do this part, but it's a little fun.
So background, I'm going to go with the contrast. I'm going to go with this cadmium yellow, and it's going to obviously it's going to have some more color. Okay, so like it could also be like a neutral. Ooh, I'm going to grab the neutral. This is my Naples yellow. This is going to be the right choice. I feel it in my bones. Plus I'm really low on it and I need to replenish it. So I'm almost at the point of like cutting it open.
All I'm doing here is squeezing out a little of that Naples yellow, and I'm going very carefully around my characters, leaving just a teeny tiny itty bitty bit of white between my acrylic paint and the characters. It just gives them like a little bit of a glow. And you'll see that I'm now kind of painting over some of that stamp and some of those little seeds that I had. They're not completely disappearing, and I do add them in again later at the end, but I don't worry about that. For me, that's all part of the process. Nothing is lost. It's just kind of nice and fun to just let the paint do the work.
Now I'm gonna get a little bit of white, or I'm gonna use white. Every painting needs a little bit of white in it, and I know I've got it around the eyes and stuff, but I'm gonna get the teeth going. Cleaning my brush for a second. I'm gonna grab my white, and I'm just going to put a little bit of white up into this now, just to break that up a little bit. Now, I'm going to see how this works. I have a little unbleached titanium. I just kind of want to see what happens if that just brings it down way too much. I kind of like it. It's just making it a little taupey. So I'm just adding a little bit of taupe in here, I guess, is what I'm saying. So I'm just kind of layering different colors and seeing what works. I'm going to add a little yellow too for pop. So I'm just experimenting. So I'm just playing. I'm adding some polka dots in my in that deep cadmium color right over top. You don't have to do it, but if you do it, make sure to do it so that your eye moves around a little bit with it. So I've got it kind of like that, maybe a little bit down here too. 1, 2, 3. So I'm not doing it everywhere. I like that. So as this dries, obviously this is a place where you could, decide to do tons of collage if you wanted to. You could put things over the top. I'm going to show you what I'm thinking for down here. Right now, things are starting to dry, so I can do this a little. So I'm going to grab these little silly stickers that I accidentally printed on sticker paper, and I'm going to jut up. I'm jutting them up a little bit. And then I think I am going to take some of this fun dictionary paper that I just happen to have in front of me, just because it's a different color. I'm going to use some of that too. In fact, do I want some of it to go over this guy, like under his lip? That's kind of cute. I don't hate that. So I might put a little bit in his lip. But just play around a little bit. Find a couple places, at least 3, where you could drop some collage. So maybe something could go into this guy's mouth over here. It says on horseback, triumphant. Stick that over there. This one's not sticking, it's too wet over there. And I need a third area for sure.
At this point, I spend way too long gluing down all my pieces of paper and just making decisions about where they go. So I use a good gel medium. You can use Mod Podge or even a glue stick to adhere your collage elements.
And I'm going to just dip into a couple of into my different greens, right? And just by the fact that the paper is like different colors, it will take the paint a little bit differently. And then I'll grab my other color, my chartreusey color, and drop it right on. So that was kind of a pink color that I had grabbed over there. So let me just go over that a little bit. Just to incorporate it a little.
I decided that I wanted to have a little bit of a pop of green, and so I'm just adding a little bit of acrylic paint very lightly over my green areas.
I kind of feel like it's there. And so what I'm probably going to end up doing, like I said, is I'm probably going to do some writing in here, but it's got to dry before I do it. So it's going to break up some of this stuff.
Voila, here is the reveal. Aren't they cute? They don't always have to be serious paintings. Sometimes it's fun to do something whimsical. And here's the finished product. I did add another little doodle and some words in the middle there, and I am really happy. Hope you had a good time.